We have now seen all of the teams compete, so we are going to give some power rankings. We were tasked with giving our top 5 power rankings in the Euro so far. How did you guys base this? Because were we doing it based solely on what we saw in match day 1, or were we taking into account kind of how they were playing form heading into the competition?
I did it based on what I saw on match day 1, but also taking into consideration the opposition and the quality of the opposition.
I
did
That's
that.
the best way to do it.
All of that plus expectations coming into the tournament.
Yeah.
That's what I did. It was like a third. It was a pie chart.
It was only 5, and I struggled with this. I was like, what? Anyway.
The real struggle for me was 3 to 5.
Yeah.
How to place them.
Yeah, I
and
agree.
Why.
I agree.
1 and 2 seem pretty easy to me.
I agree. Okay, so I will kick us off. Here's a look at my top 5 Euros power rankings. This is how it looks. I got host nation Germany at number 1. Just a dominant performance against Scotland. They looked really, really strong. Spain in at number 2. France didn't impress terribly, but I still have them at 3. I put Portugal in there at 4 and England at 5. And Netherlands were kind of in that conversation for me at the bottom, but I wasn't quite sure if, I don't know. I just feel like we've talked about it. A lot of these teams just were kind of lackluster in their first matches of the Euros. So I struggled, like you said, with that 3 to 5. I wasn't quite sure.
They were all lackluster except for Spain and Germany.
Yeah, that was the...
Hence why the first 2 are easy.
Yeah.
I
don't think Portugal deserves a top 5 shout.
You don't?
Nope. They weren't convincing for larger bouts. And I struggled again, like you guys said. I struggled from 3 to 5, or maybe from 4 to 5, just to pick the last 2 because
I thought Czechia actually had a really good game. They were formidable.
Am I
going to put Romania in?
There's
my top 5?
another grouping we should talk about.
definitely.
Switzerland, Romania, Czechia. There's some countries. Austria
showed why they are probably
There's some countries
the
that surprised, but not in your power ranking top 5.
This is the top 5 power rankings. So
I mean, you could still put Austria. You wouldn't be wrong to put Austria in your top 5 power ranking.
I mean, look, I picked them as the surprise of the tournament.
I didn't have no team that lost I thought should be in the top 5.
They're not in your top 5.
Okay, Nico, let's look at yours.
Okay, Spain played Croatia. That was a big win. Croatia is a very experienced team, and they smacked them 3-0. They made them look really bad.
What? Okay.
And I put them at 1 to beat Germany because Scotland were embarrassingly awful. They were very, very poor.
No one's really arguing your top 3. You got to talk to us about number 4.
The Spain one I could still argue.
France, we get France, right? I think we've talked a lot about them in the last 2 days. England probably would have been in my top 1 or 2. They've dropped 4 or 3 places.
Absolutely.
Considering this from where they were at the start of the tournament.
It's kind of interesting also seeing it with the odds next to it as well, comparing it. Great job by production there to put that there.
Italy, here's my reasoning behind Italy. I looked at Portugal and I looked at sample size of the 90-minute game against Czech Republic, and they weren't convincing enough. Italy's first half against Albania, the response after conceding a first goal, they looked really strong. They obviously didn't have they got too close for comfort in the second half, and it shouldn't have. But Portugal, I felt, struggled more throughout the game than Italy did. And that's why I threw Italy in there. And England were, maybe they shouldn't have dropped to 5. Maybe I should have put them 4 and Italy 5. But Netherlands also weren't good. I was trying to find another power. I was like, Netherlands didn't put in a performance to be in the top 5. Who else? Not Belgium either?
No.
I want to see you go next.
Even though they have your stuff dialed up?
I know, but I wanted to see you go next.
Okay, if you guys can do that. I'm happy to go with my 5. Actually, you could just show Suze's again.
Do we have the same one? Look at that.
Woman of culture. Here's why. Obviously, the reason I put Germany first over Spain, for me, they're home. So I also thought about the field coming forward, and the teams that they're going to have to face. They're going to have a little bit of an easier time than I think Spain will, simply because they're home, unless they play very terrible, and then that shifts to everyone against them. But I feel like home field advantage, you saw the energy that was displayed in that first match against Scotland. That can overwhelm the majority of teams, not just Scotland, even though Scotland played terrible. And I think Spain and Germany, you could swap number 1 and 2. France, we know why you're there. Portugal, the reason I put Portugal there is the overwhelming amount of talent. We saw how smooth and almost they're willing to play out of position and move all around the pitch. I feel like they've already faced their most difficult test in the sense that the team that's going to play them in the way that negates a lot of what their talent is. And I think we're going to see teams open up a little bit against them. And then number 5, I went with England. But honestly, I can make a case for Italy being there over England. And the reason I say that is because I think England showed the weakness that they continue to show in international competitions, which is such a conservative mentality. You go up by 1 and then you pull all your horses back. It's embarrassing. You need to go forward. You need to show me something. You have way too much attacking talent to play that way. So for you, I wish I would have had the courage to put you at 6 and put Italy at 5, but I think Italy.
I didn't want to put England in there as well, just to kind of piss off Nige.
You could do it, but listen, they won the game. And they can only get better. It was more of a chemistry issue than anything else, really and truly.
Did they slip, though? Okay, let's look at your power rankings. Did they slip for you, Nige?
They did slip for me because the performance wasn't good enough.
Okay.
But for me, Germany number 1 because the performance was great. As poor as Scotland was, you have to look at the football and what the Germans did. Toni Kroos controlled the game. He's like having a manager on the pitch. And what Germany did well, they're 2 superstars. They made it work. The team molds around Florian Wirtz and Musiala. And you've got the likes of Toni Kroos and Gundogan there, and they still sacrifice themselves to say, these are our stars, and it worked sensationally well. France
over Spain.
The performance, they had a difficult, listen, let's not be fooled by what the French did. Like, they played Austria, who's a lot of people's dark horse like yours. But at not one point in that game did I ever look to say, oh, France are in trouble here. They, for me, were fantastic in the sense of the players that they had on the pitch and the changes they could still make. When you look at that French team, they're frightening. And what I give credit to Deschamps for, the tactical know-how of Kante. Kante's coming from the Saudi Arabia League, where people are saying, oh, if you go to Saudi, you're retired. He was their man in the match. He was absolutely sensational for France, and he's still playing in the Saudi League. And it's matching that energy that you're going to face with Austria. Later on, you can bring on Camavinga, who's a Champions League winner with Real Madrid, and you still got Tchouaméni on the bench. You still got Bradley Barcola. So for me, the French are stacked. Then I went with Spain. Great performance. With Spain, they are still vulnerable. As much as they showed teeth to win the game, showing a different style, Morata with the goal, you got Lamar playing as well as Nico Williams. Slightly different saying to what he used to, but they did still concede a lot of attempts on goal. And against a more athletic side, a more higher quality, athletically gifted nation, like Italy, they're going to have some problems. Then I went with England.
That's tomorrow. England
have the talent. The performance wasn't great, but you can only get better. And for me, it's working out with the whole Jude Bellingham and Phil Foden thing. But you still got the likes of Anthony Gordon, Gerard Bowen, who you could start. There's talent there, but it's just getting the chemistry right. And I feel, again, the only problem with England, like you're right, Gareth Southgate is not a proactive manager to make changes when he sees things. Other managers are a lot more proactive. When they see things going wrong, they'll change it. And I went with Italy because you can never write out the Italians. And like you said, they were absolutely sensational in that first half against Albania. Second half, they dropped off a bit. But from just seeing that first half, if they play like that, and I know the Italian mentality is weird. When they play higher opposition or top quality opposition, they match it for that 90 minutes. It's a different level. They raise their games, the Italians. So I think that performance alone,
they showed character as well, coming back and bouncing back from that early.
It was contagious. Those 45 minutes, you looked at Italy and wow, they look good. They responded with gusto, with personality, with intent.
The performance was fantastic. That first half, so when you watch them, the individual skills, Dimarco getting up there, Chiesa getting up there, I was like, wow, where is this Italy?
The 2 center backs are stars, Calafiore and Bastoni. Wow.
You can never write them out.
I felt like that about England for 15 minutes, the first 15 minutes. And then after they got the goal, they dropped off. There was a shift.
For what?
For England.
Yeah.
I had that feeling. In the first 15 minutes, I was like, ooh, Serbia, watch out. They scored, and then it was like Serbia evened it out, especially at the start of the second half.
The biggest elephant in the room with England was the experiment of Trent Alexander-Arnold. Trent Alexander-Arnold should not be playing centre midfield. If you're going to play him in centre midfield, you have to adjust the team around him. It has to be different. It reminds me of when I played with Mascherano at West Ham when he first came to England. He could not play in a 4-4-2 because the Premier League was too athletic. I couldn't leave him when we played Liverpool, him against Stevie Gerrard or whatever it is, because he didn't have the athleticism to deal with it. When he went to Liverpool and he became the Mascherano everyone loved, Rafa Benitez played him in a 5. He literally sat there, didn't have to mark any, and he was sweeping up. And that's how Liverpool became such a good team.
You played him in a five-man back line?
No, in midfield. It was a midfield five. So he was the one that sat.
Okay, yeah.
And then he had 12 midfielders alongside him.
Steven
And
Gerrard.
Gerrard, that's my point. So he just had to clean up and tidy up. So again, with Trent, it's the same thing. It didn't go right. So now it's who you're going to play there. And Jude Bellingham has such a free role. The thing is, people are saying you can't play Jude with Phil Foden, which for me, I believe it's a cop-out. If Germany can play Wirtz and Musiala, why could we not find a way to make Bellingham and Phil Foden work?
If Bellingham passes to Foden, they can play
Oh,